In today's video, we're going to tackle changing out the transmission fluid in an automatic transmission on my 2008 BMW 335i. This process is pretty much going to be the same for any E90. They all have the ZF, or for the most part, a lot of them have the ZF 6-speed transmission. Some of them do come with GM automatics, but this is specific to ZF. But in general, you can use it as a guideline on how to change out your transmission fluid on your E90. I'm doing it. I actually looked online and found a good overall deal to get this done. I'm going to be doing it for under $100. I paid $96 for a new transmission pan with the integrated filter and 5 quarts of fluid. So I'm going to unbox the filter and pan assembly and show you that now. So I bought this on eBay. It was $34, I believe, shipped. And it says here, it's the information regarding it for E90s and E60s. There's a number of cars that use the same transmission, but it's a good overall deal. You don't necessarily have to change out the pan, but in this case, because of the integrated filter, I wanted to do it all. Let's get this unboxed, take a look at it. So here's what you get. So it's a filter assembly right here. Now they recommend that you change out the bolts along with the pan, just because they can corrode over time. So that was good that it came with that for the price. Looks like the gasket came out of place during shipping, so let's get that put back into position. There it is. Comes with 2 magnets to actually pick up any metal shavings over time. I'm looking for the manufacturer of this. There it is. That's the complete assembly. Comes with should be an O-ring right here. So, you know, if you've been following my channel, then you'll know that I've been putting on cost-effective parts, looking for deals. You know, I guess if you want to play things safe, you should buy the original ZF pan, but this is an aftermarket pan, and it appears to be good quality. It's better to change it out with something like this than to just swap the fluid, in my opinion, but, you know, use your own discretion. If you want to buy the original assembly, the original pan, I think it's more like $80. And the original fluid is going to cost you. And I think this whole job, to do it properly, would be like close to $300 doing it yourself. We're doing it for under $100. I bought this car with about 140,000 miles on it. It's got 168,000 now. And I don't know when the transmission fluid was changed, so I definitely want to tackle it. I should put this out there that my car shifts perfectly. It drives like new still in terms of the transmission, so I'm not too concerned. If you're experiencing slipping or issues with your transmission, changing your fluid will help. It's a good idea, but it may not be the end-all fix, be-all end-all fix. So keep that in mind, that there's a good chance that if you're already experiencing issues, a simple fluid change will not reverse them, but it could actually help things out regardless. So I'm going to show you the fluid that I bought now. So now, one of the more cost-effective fluids that you could put inside this transmission that's considered approved and compatible, has the proper additives, is Redline D4 ATF. It's a really good fluid. I paid $62 shipped for 5 bottles. So normally this is considered really high-end fluid, but it just so happens to be one of the cheaper options for changing the fluid on a ZF transmission in your E90. So you need 4 to 5 quarts. It's possible that I may need a 6th quart, unlikely, but if I do, I'll just run to the parts store and grab it. I can get it locally, just would pay like probably 20 something bucks for just the 1 bottle if I bought it local versus buying it online. So that's the fluid we'll be putting in. Draining it is pretty straightforward. You got to get the car jacked up completely. You want it to be level, and we'll get the car set up on jacks, and I'll start rolling once I have the car set up on jack stands. So I have the car jacked up now. There's enough room to get underneath it now. You can see where I've placed the jack stands. So now I'm going to use a creeper to roll underneath the car. You know, you got to be careful with this. Give the car a good shake. Make sure you're on a level ground when you do this. Feels good and secure. Just for added safety, I always leave the jack under at least one corner of the car to help support the weight. Now I'm going to show you a trick we're going to need to do just to avoid making a huge mess. So I'm going to slice up this box and use it for underneath the pan, because no matter how hard you try, you're going to get some spillage outside your pan area. So you can just lay that down underneath the pan, so we'll have less likelihood of a mess. I have the following Harbor Freight drain pan, which I'm going to use. Just keep that towel handy, and I'll get my creeper and the light underneath the car so we can see where we're going to be working. So we need a 10 mil Allen head, 3/8 extension. So my car is actually missing a cover. It's supposed to have a cover here, all around here. That's supposed to block, it would naturally block access to the pan, but in my case that's missing. So just be conscious of it. You're gonna need an 8 mil Allen, or you need an 8 mil socket to get all these bolts around here. It should be like a 10-minute job, 5-minute job to get that all off. So now I'm gonna insert my 10 mil Allen head into here. It shouldn't be very tight. It was barely snug. Cardboard here just because I'm expecting a bit of a mess. So we'll let that drain out. It doesn't look terrible. It's not black, it's just like dark brown. Oh, there's the mess. Now you know why you want the cardboard. My car is warm right now, I drove it. So fluid's not hot to the touch, it's just warm. So I think that's what you want when you perform this job. You want it to be relatively warm so that it flows out easy. So I'll let that drain out and then I'll come back. Gotta clean up a little bit of spillage here. Luckily transmission fluid cleans up relatively easy. It's kind of got detergent into it, so if you spill something and wipe it off on the concrete floor, it comes away. It doesn't leave a big stain. To make this job a little easier and make it go by a bit quicker, I have a 3/8 adapter on my drill, just so I can loosen all the bolts quickly. I'll tighten it back by hand. There's a proper torquing sequence, but for now I'll put that drain plug back in and then we'll start getting at the bolts. So let's see if we can release these bolts just by with the drill's pressure. It's a T40 torque, so I didn't mention already. Yeah. You want to leave the corner ones in. Here's one of the reasons they recommend you change the bolts. I don't know if you can make that out, but it's got corrosion on it. So you could get, next time if you didn't change out these bolts, next time you do it, it may not actually come out. So I'll set up the camera on another angle now and we'll go after the remainder of the bolts. I'm trying to see if I can get to these bolts without removing this bracket. Looks like you can. So I got all the bolts off. It appears as though on a two-wheel drive car, you don't really have to remove anything. This bracket was getting annoying. I couldn't get that one bolt off, but it's flexible. You can literally just like push it out of the way and you got clear access. So I'd recommend you do that. It's no big deal. You can bend it right back into place. So I'm going after just the corner bolts now. I got one in each corner. And then we're going to want to ease it down on an angle so that whatever is remaining in the pan can kind of drop into the drain pan. So, I'm getting ready to support the pan.
That's why I put the pan that way, because if anything, it would fall from that side, because the arm, that little tube there, that, oh, fuck, I made a mess. That tube, would kind of hang on that side. I'm draining this into there now. Got to clean up a quick mess here. I'll be back in here. Do a bit of cleanup. You can see the mechatronic unit dripping. It's going to give this, I got a clean cloth. I'm going to give it a quick wipe down. Seems like my fluid was in pretty good shape, relatively clean. That's a good sign. This transmission shifts perfectly, even though it's been tuned and everything. It drives great. So this is just preventive maintenance. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit all these bolts just to make sure they're tight, because that's something that can happen over time. They can loosen up. I'm using a T27, it feels like a tight fit. So I'm wiping down the mating surface just to make sure we get a good seal when we put the new pan on. Being conscious of the fact that I don't want to introduce any dirt inside the pan area. There's a new pan assembly. What I did was I put a bit of, see that little nipple there? I put a bit of fresh transmission fluid around the O-ring so that it goes in smoothly and doesn't get caught up or gouged up. I got the tube tool line. I was being very gentle, just so I didn't have any chance of marring up that O-ring. That one bolt should hold it while I get set up with the rest of it. I'm just getting this started. There's a proper torque sequence you have to follow when you're putting this back together. So I'm not necessarily saying this is the right way to do it, or I'm advocating for this, but you know, I didn't remove this exhaust support. All I did was, there's a bit of tension here. I just squeezed it with a pair of vice grips, and just the slightest pull, you can just slightly pull it out of the way. You barely don't even have to, and then you can get it started by hand. And we're in good shape now. I can get this out of the way, so I was able to basically squeeze this tension out of the way, and then I can get the bolts started right there. I was able to start them all by hand, no issues. And it saves you the step of taking this out. So like I said, just a quick pinch with a pair of vice grips there. Gets rid of the tension in between the two rods, and it allows you to actually thread the bolts in. So I'm going to get the rest of these bolts in hand started, then I'll show you the torquing sequence. Okay, so I got all the bolts bottomed out by hand, no issues. You basically want to draw the pan into position by starting from the center, working your way out. The approximate torque is 10 foot-pounds. I don't have a torque wrench, and honestly, yeah, you should look it up. It should be 10 Newton meters, I believe, sorry, and you can get a 3/8 torque wrench from Harbor Freight to do it. I'm doing it by feel, but I've done this on many cars many times. So I went from center doing a crisscross pattern. So I'll speed the footage up now, and then so you just can follow along if you'd like. Alright, so we're in good shape now. One thing I'm gonna recommend you do is just make sure, since we got a new pan here, shipped from the factory, let's make sure that that drain bolt is tight before we go and fill it. So it wasn't bottomed right down. I'm glad I checked it. So you want to double check that when you do yours. Don't go too tight, it feels very fragile. I could easily imagine you stripping this, so be very gentle. But anyway, it just felt like it could have used a couple more slight turns from the factory to be proper. Now we'll go about filling it. For filling the transmission, you're going to need an 8mm Allen key. You won't have enough room to use a socket, an Allen socket, and you want to get a wrench so you can stick it on the end of this so you can get leverage to break it free. So we'll do that now. Another thing I wanted to mention is when I had the camera out of the way, it was really in my way to actually use two hands. I actually got on here and just went over them all again. So the way I demonstrated, that wouldn't be enough torque. You're going to need to stabilize and use two hands. But here I'm putting the 8mm Allen into the fill hole, setting up a wrench on it, like such, and we'll crank it free, crank it open. Really tight. I think I'm gonna get the camera out of the way for this, but you get the idea. just like that. Expect it to be tight. The Allen key wasn't being persuaded by the wrench, so I just used a rubber mallet and I just whacked on this until it popped free. So now we're good to go. You should do this step before you even drain anything. Let's say you get stuck here, you don't have the right Allen key, or you end up getting in a position where you strip it or you just can't get it off. You don't want to be draining your fluid realizing that, having no way to refill it. So definitely common sense would dictate that you should release this first. Technically this is considered a one-time use fill plug because of the built-in seal, but I didn't get one and it wasn't part of the kit, so I'm reusing this. We get a cloth. That's the plug. Looks like it has a built-in seal. It looks fine, so I'll be reusing it. Now we're going to start pumping fluid in here until it drips out. I have the following setup going. I've got a hand pump that just goes right into the side of the transmission. I have a pan underneath it so that once it starts dripping it'll catch that, and then we can put the plug back in, start the car, make sure the transmission comes up to operating temperature, and then we will go back under the car and top it off. You got to fill up all the gears. Okay. I'm about 3 bottles in now. I'm going to take this out just to see if any... We want to make sure that we're not going to have a steady stream of fluid coming out. So as you can see, no. So we're good. I can keep filling. I'm expecting that around the 4th bottle. So I'll put that 4th bottle in now. Okay, I'm 4 bottles in now. I can see a drip. I'm going to take this pump out and I'm going to get ready with the drain plug because I think it's going to give me a steady stream. Oh yeah, there we go. So I don't want to lose all that fluid because that fluid is going to go to fill up the valve body or the mechatronic unit. It's kind of tight to fucking... So I got a clean pan, FYI. I have another pan now, a clean one, so I can use this fluid if I need to. I just grab it out of there because I didn't want to fall short. So keep that in mind. When you're filling it, the pan you should use is fresh. Make sure you can put fresh fluid in there and just grab it out of there if you end up with spillage like that. That way you can get away with using about 5 bottles worth. Okay, that's about finger tight. I'm just gonna, we'll get set up on top of the car now, warm it up, monitor temperatures, fill up the gears, and then when it's warmed up and the gears are full, I'll come back under here and top it off and we'll be good to go. So as you can see, the car is still elevated. We're going to the car. You want your foot on the brake, start it up. Let it sit and park for about 10 seconds. Okay, park for about 10 seconds. Reverse, keep your foot on the brake so the wheels don't spin.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Neutral. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Drive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Put it in sport. And then we're gonna go M1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. M2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. M3. 1, 2, 3. Just clicking it up to M3 engages the gear momentarily, and then goes right back to 2, but that still gets the job done. M1. So basically, that's enough. We can throw it into park now. We can let it warm up a little bit. That's basically all it took to fill up all the gears. You don't have to go all the way through M1 to M6. That's not going to make a difference here. So I'm going to let it warm up, set up the laptop so we can monitor transmission temperature. So I'm using BMW's IMPA software. The fill temperature is between 30 and 50 degrees. That's operational. So I'm going to go Shift F8, transmission, automatic, okay. And we're going to go to status, analog, and we see we're at 50 degrees centigrade or Celsius. So we're good to fill the transmission now, the final fill. We're finishing the final fill. Got my last bottle here. I got my drain plug ready, and we're gonna fill it up until it starts to come out. So I had to run and grab another bottle of fluid that ran out. I heard on average takes 4.5, but you can take it could require up to 6 liters, so keep that in mind. I'm going to commence with the final fill. Car is running, the transmission is still at operating temperature. So it took a while to finally get that steady stream with the car warm and the engine running at idle speed. So I'll just demonstrate quickly here. As soon as I remove this plug, it drips out. So I'm good. It's at more than a trickle. So we're in good shape to bottom this down now. And I will tighten that up and then start cleaning up. Alright, so that shows you how to change out the fluid in your E90 3 Series, whether you have a 328 or you have a 335i. Pretty much all models are going to use the same transmission, a different variation of it, unless you have a GM transmission. The overall tutorial that I show you here is similar, but this was specific to the ZF transmission. So I'm going to pull it out of the garage now, see if that transmission still works. Luckily it does. So yeah. A couple takeaways from this for my job is get 6 liters of fluid, don't get 5. That's not going to be enough, and you're going to want to make sure you get 6 liters of fluid. Don't get 5. My car actually used pretty much 6 liters. That means it just happened to be warm enough where it dumped out as much fluid as it could without emptying out the torque converter. The only way to get all the fluid out is a full flush. I was pleased to see the condition of my fluid. It was pretty, relatively clean, all things considered. So it was maintained, which is good news. The transmission shifts like a new car still, so I really wanted to get this done and prolong the life of it. Yeah, so thanks for watching and good luck.